This SGA build can do it all. Create off the bounce and beat your defenders off of the dribble. Become an elite shot creator from the mid-range or from the three-point line. Abuse your defenders like Devin Booker with all sorts of crazy signature animations. Create for your teammates just like Luka and James Harden, while at the same time bullying your defenders in the post and abusing smaller guards while being an excellent defender. So if you're looking for one of the best big guard shot creators in the game, this is the build for you, and I'll even give you different alternatives to fit your different playstyles. We're gonna start with a point guard height of 6'6". I like to keep the wingspan at 6'10". I think that's fine. You can lower, you can increase if you like. But we want that 6'10" wingspan, importantly for our defensive purposes. We're gonna bring our weight up to around 213 pounds to get 85 strength. Okay, from there, the core of this build is that we're gonna be a deadly mid-range shooter. And we're gonna optimize this build for cap breakers. So right now, I'm prepared to say I'm going to get at least 7 cap breakers throughout the seasons. You know, thinking that I'm gonna reach level 40. I mean, this is assuming that 2K keeps cap breakers as a level 40 reward. So we're gonna bring that up to a 91. I want to bring my 3-point shot up to an 89 to get silver limitless range, which I think is a great spot to be. Okay, from there, one thing that's at the core of all of my builds is to bring this up to an 85. Two things: we're gonna be a point guard, we're gonna be mostly a primary ball handler. But as a 6'6", I don't really need a lot of the higher tier ball handle animations. Maybe you want Kobe and you want to target 87, for example. But for me, 81 is perfectly fine. And with an 85 strength, that will allow me to get Hall of Fame strong handle. But why we wanted to get 85 strength is also we're going to put perimeter defense at an 85. And what that does, okay, we're gonna get Silver Challenger. We're gonna get Gold Immovable Enforcer, which I think is very good for on-ball defense, especially with a bigger player. So that is absolutely essential. We're gonna bring our agility and speed to start at a base of an 80 and play around and see what we want to do with that rating moving forward. That 80 agility gives us on-ball menace on silver, which I think with the combination of gold immovable enforcer is really good. And from here, we're gonna set our steals and blocks at a 67 and a 68 to get us the minimum of bronze badges for steals, for interceptor and glove. And for block, we're gonna want to get high flying denier, so we're gonna put vertical up to a 60. So I think pretty much what we want to do next is put speed with ball to 84. Now, if you watched my previous video, why 84? You're not getting gold lightning launch. Well, 84 is the threshold which unlocks SGA dribble style, which I based on my testing on my NBA and playing around with rosters. Speed with ball at 84 gets you probably the best dribble style in the game for 6'5" and up builds. Arguably even better than something like Darius Garland. So I recommend you put your speed with ball at an 84. It's also why we chose a height of 6'6". 6'7" builds can't get speed with ball of 84. Okay, from here I just want to set up my baseline again. For pass accuracy, we're gonna be a point guard. And I'm thinking 85 just to get bronze bailout and be good enough to be a primary playmaker with passing the ball. Our free throw, let's put that to 80 right now. And then we got a decision to make. Initially, I wanted my driving layup. I wanted this build to be also a strong handle, physical finisher type of build. So initially, I wanted a 90 for my driving layup. Gets me gold physical finisher, gets me gold float game, and with cap breakers, let's say I will be able to get gold layup mix master later on if that's something I like. But putting that up to 90 is really expensive. And let me just bring that down once again. Bring this up to 81, 84. As a starting point for this build, we're gonna get our driving dunk up to an 80 to unlock Devin Booker dunk package, our standing dunk to a minimum of 45. And then one thing that makes this a SGA Luka Devin Booker type build with sort of hints of Kobe is that we're gonna go with an 84 post control so that we can target Hall of Fame post fade phenom, which in my opinion is gonna be really good if you're getting matched up with a lot of these small guards that do not have a high wingspan to be able to block post fades. So that's gonna be our starting point. Since we're so close to the threshold for bronze posterizer, might as well do it. Allow us to finish in contact a little bit better. And that brings us up to a 98. So a few things that I'll try to do here. There's sort of a mismatch between my speed and agility and my ability on defense. Ideally, you'd like this to be closer to 85 than to 80, but I tried it around in my NBA, tested it out. 80 speed, 80 agility is fine, but that's certainly one route you can take. Bring your agility up to an 85. Bring your speed up to an 84. Decide which one you want your build to be. The first thing we'll do here is bring this up to a 92, just so I can show you the shades that we're aiming for. So okay, we got that up to a 92. And we're gonna bring our pass accuracy up to an 87 and just spread that out a little bit there. And this build should give you the exact shades of Gilbert Arenas, Cade Cunningham, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who we were incidentally aiming for with this particular build. But you know my philosophy. I'm not into making builds just to make sure that you have the exact shade of a specific player, but this is one way to get your exact SGA shades. This build was also, those attributes were also sprinkled in mind to get the two-way 3-level playmaker title. So if you're taking this to random rec, a lot of people base matchmaking on the build titles. So this is an attractive build title to sort of communicate to teammates that you're going to be able to contribute more on the offensive and defensive end. But this build is not well optimized in my opinion. I mean, it gives you certain options, right? So if you have 5 additional cap breakers, so the first thing I want you to do is max out your mid-range. The next candidate for cap breakers for this build is to bring those 5 cap breakers over to pass accuracy so that you can get Hall of Fame Dimer. That's also a viable alternative right there. But there's also another alternative to make this an even better offensive player that's dominant in the mid-range and in the low post. So what I want you to do is lower your pass accuracy to a 85. We're gonna back out a little bit. And we're gonna lower our wingspan and then add this weight and wingspan. If you raise your post control to an 85 and your strength to an 86, what this does is that with your +5 cap breakers, if you choose to put that instead into post control, and if your mid-range is already above 94, this post-fade phenom will become legend. The increase in strength to 86 gives you gold post powerhouse, which in my opinion is way better than silver. And then this goes up to gold post up poet. So now you have both your playmaking badges for the post game at gold, which is great to have. It's sort of like the combination of gold lightning launch and gold strong handle. It's a great place to be. So if you put your 5 cap breakers into post control, if you already maxed out your mid range, This already turns into a really cracked out, I'd say, 4-dimensional or 5-dimensional scorer. You can create off of the perimeter, you can create off of catch and shoots, you can create off of passes, and then you can create off of the post and finish in the lane. So how, in terms of optimizations, how will you want to distribute those extra points? Okay, so maybe you lower your mid-range to a 91 to use those extra points as well, since we're gonna give 5 cap breakers to mid-range and 5 cap breakers to post control, assuming you get to vet 2. So these are just the optimizations that you might want to think about. Again, you might want to put that into pass accuracy, or maybe you want to beef up agility to a high level as possible, which I do recommend just to maximize your on-ball defensive capability, and then just distribute those points to free throws. And then your build gets shades of Gilbert Arenas, Cade Cunningham, but now Jalen Suggs. I think this still makes you a two-way 3-level scoring threat. This time, less emphasis on your ability to pass the ball. Let's say you do not care about the post game. All right? You do not care about the post game. And that means let's remove our post control. Okay. And then, of course, when you remove an attribute, you have to make sure that you optimize the build by making sure you remove those extra attribute points that are allocated to certain ratings to get you to a certain point. So, okay, 91 mid-range, 75. So I think that's good. All right, so I think we're set up here. Maybe you want to become a way better finisher. I would recommend, and this is just me, I would recommend to bring up your driving layup to an 80 to get silver physical finisher, and consider using your +1 badges to put physical finisher at gold. There are secrets to physical finisher that I discussed in one of my previous videos, but physical finisher is also just a great badge to have to get you out of trouble in the lane. Having an 80 driving dunk isn't necessarily enough in my opinion, but the bonus you get from silver physical finisher is really good. But let's say, okay, you're not really into layups at all. You get your driving dunk up to an 87 and get your vertical up to a 70. So now instead, we're trying to get contact dunks. And the problem is we can only get up to a 70 vertical. We're gonna have to give up some of that agility and then try to pump up our vertical right there. Still missing a few. So that means we're gonna have to sacrifice some of our pass accuracy. And maybe just use a cap breaker, for example, to get this to an 85. But let's see if we can... Okay, there we go. So now, if you lower your free throw to a 78, you still get your pass accuracy at an 85 to get bronze bailout. Then we got 75 vertical and 87 driving dunk, which you're gonna need for contact dunks. If this is the build you prefer because you don't want to use the post game, I think perfectly viable. Had to make a few sacrifices, but now we get Tyrese Halliburton, Gilbert Arenas, and Anthony Simons. I think great comparisons for the type of play style that we like. They're now a two-way, 3-level scoring threat. So this sort of shows you what the trade-offs are, how you want to customize these builds. I'm showing you different alternatives to sort of fit your playstyle. I'm not going to show you which one I'm going to pick, but at least what I'm showing you through the process is have a vision, have a idea of what build and playstyle you want to have, And for me, I want to be a primary scorer and ball handler, a good to maybe great passer, and then a very good defender. Okay. And I think the one thing I want to mention here is that the one thing that I'd really like is to have at least an 85 with speed or agility. Agility important for your on-ball defenses. You know, if you want to be bumpy, I find that 80 speed and 80 agility is fine for a 6'6". But you know what? If that's not enough for you, I think you're gonna want to look at your takeovers to see what type of takeover you can do, you can use to make up for the sacrifices that you made in your builder journey. For example, so for me, I really want to have high agility. And the only way for me to do that is to equip something like Nuisance, okay, which will get us +7 agility and +7 strength, and then +7 perimeter defense. So I think, for example, yeah, Make It Rain is also something you can consider if you want to prefer speed and sort of max out your shooting attributes. That's also a great alternative. So those are the things to consider. For me personally, I want my agility and strength as high as possible alongside my perimeter defense. Take this build to that really next level since I've had to make sacrifices on agility. Now, if you want your speed to be higher, use your other takeover, use a different takeover that can boost your speed. But this gives you an idea into how to mitigate some of the sacrifices that you had to make in the builder. In this case, I think Nuisance will be the perfect takeover for this build. I don't really have this well-rounded of a build, but I'm giving you options. This build right here, you know, is a way better finisher compared to the other builds previously. So I just want to end with the version where I was playing around with driving layup, and if I make a version that prioritizes physical finisher on goal, this is probably what it's going to look like. Again, I'm choosing in this configuration to have my post game a core part of my build, so having post control at 85 is sort of essential, but you can mix and match and play around with this if you like. Currently, this is just a setup that I'd like. But yeah, so this is an example of a build that allows me to become a better finisher compared to just having, let's say, 80 driving dunks. So the comps would be Sam Cassell, Trey Mann, and Ty Jerome. And this build in particular will be what I would think would be still a two-way, three-level scoring threat. So that's also another alternative. I've been doing tests on gold physical finisher for a while now, and you know, I think a budget 80 driving dunk should be fine for most people, but the way dunks get canceled if you don't have a high enough driving layup, you're gonna put yourself in lots of positions where you won't be able to finish in the paint. And if that's a focus for you, maybe investing in a 90 driving layup instead would be a good alternative. And man, there are so many ways to tweak these builds and use cap breakers to the best of your ability. Again, this is me thinking that I'll at least get starter 3. You know, I'm still far away. I don't play rec game modes or online my career game modes enough to be anywhere close. I think I'm at starter 1. So maybe if I play a little bit more. So right now I'm sort of targeting, you know, just the level 40 cap breakers. So another way you could optimize this build, for example, to a different playstyle is to boost pass accuracy to as high as possible. That's one thing you might want to consider. So now let's say we don't really need contact dunks. We just want Devin Booker dunk package and bronze posterizer. Then you bring your pass accuracy up to a 91. It would eventually using a cap breaker to bring it to 92, for example. That's one way to do it. And then let's say put your extra ability, your extra points up to agility, and then use your takeover to boost your speed, for example. I mean, these are just some of the ways that you can customize your build depending on how you like it. But let's see, that's just, for example, let's just boost block to as high as we can as well. 70 is a nice round number. Let's say just boost free throw to as high as we can. And for this build, once again, you get Tyrese Halliburton, Darren Williams, and Cade Cunningham. So just an infinite amount of possibilities to customize this build. You're now a two-way perimeter playmaker again. So just giving you different options and different ideas on how to tweak builds based on how you like. Once again, the core of this build, in my opinion, the core of this build is to get your mid-range up to a 96. There's a version of this build that's 6'6", 6'6" wingspan, 6'6" height, 6'6" wingspan, and then you put mid-range up to a 94, for example, so that you can get legend badges at 99. In my opinion, that's too big of an investment. The only way you could get me to get shooting badges up to a 99 and make it worth it is, or any of these shooting badges, if I can get mini marksman and limitless range on legend. That's just a personal opinion. So for me, 96 mid-range for a big guard is a really good place to have it. Then you can use your +1s to boost it to any of your shooting badges to legend, for example. But yeah, there's a version of the 6'6" point guard with a 6'6" wingspan to get you to a 99 legend rating if you like for your mid-range so that's one possibility. But once again, this just shows you the ways in which you can tweak this build. I'm personally aiming for maybe the post-up point guard, but the more I play random rec and the more I see how people play with rec online is that, you know, the point guard nobody gets ever any opportunities to post up in this game. So that's not really a good investment if you want to maximize your build, unless you're playing with people you know will give you the opportunity. But either way, again, I always say this is the build, the different versions. These are the build versions that, one, I'm optimizing, and two, I'm building specifically around how I play the game. So if you have a different priority and a different way in which you play the game, then that's completely on you. So for example, you just put that to 85, and then for example, you want to boost steal to as high as you want. That's certainly a viable option. So for example, let's get that steal just for illustrative purposes. Steal to an 85, just so you can get that gold interceptor. And let's say just gold interceptor. Let's say that's your preference, right? So let's just boost a few things, maybe get driving duct. I'm not making this a serious build, for example, but then you get a different build with Derek Harper, Tyrese Halliburton, and Jordan Poole Shades. I think this is gonna make you a two-way sharpshooter, no, two-way 3-level scoring threat. So there you go. So again, those are the ways to tweak the build. Tweak to however you like. I'm definitely going to make a 6'6". I'm still undecided on whether it's going to be the post-scoring version, which I think is going to be great, except that I won't get too many opportunities to really maximize a build because no one gives the guard post-up opportunities, but it's a great way to punish smaller defenders. So there you have it, my Devin Booker SGA sort of build. I'm gonna be making this build over the next few days, playing over the holidays, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.